All right, guys, everyone on your feet. You guys give him his flowers. Let's shake the building. Give him a warm welcome. Everyone, it's Kent Clothier!
Testing. We good now? All right, well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. How are we doing? Good? Well, that was quite the introduction. Unfortunately, all the dumb shit you heard is actually true. And I didn't mean like, no, you can't sit down. I just meant like, you dress like a douchebag. Get away from me. Like, what is wrong with you, dude? Holy shit. Miami or not, this is not going to work. You got to go. But it's all, Brandon, as he said, we have become the closest of friends. It is the perfect example of never judge a book by its cover. I am 55 years old. I, for sure, through all of my years of experience, whatever, I'm an introvert, not very extroverted, very tight circle, very standoffish with people. If you've been speaking on stages and doing everything I've been doing over the years, you kind of get used to a lot of people coming at you. So when somebody comes at you, you're like, whoa, take a couple steps back. Literally had a guy try to shake my hand as we're standing next to each other in the men's bathroom taking a piss. And I'm like, bro, you got to be kidding me right now, right? So you have enough of those kind of things and you're like, okay, everybody back up. But as he said, he made a point of opening my eyes, and I've learned some really valuable lessons by being around Brandon. Because as you hear him speak, as you hear him share his story, there's a lot more layers to what's really going on there, right? He's an exceptional human being. And I'm very proud to call him a friend. I had the honor and privilege of also coaching spring, and then you guys met Casey, you've met Jeff Hyatt. All these guys are a part of my Boardroom Mastermind. Some of you may have heard of that. But I'm here to just kind of pour into you guys for the next 30, 45 minutes. I've been in business for 38 years, guys. I have all the scars that matter. I started my first business when I was 17 years old and built it to $2 billion a year by the time I was 30. And then proceeded to lose it and had to start all over. So I'm going to walk you down a path of some of the shit that I've learned over the years that I think you should probably pay attention to. I have the privilege of coaching very, very successful CEOs and founders. I have the privilege of having built one of the most prestigious organizations in the real estate space called the Boardroom Mastermind. It is 290 of the biggest badasses in this industry with an annual acceptance rate of 4%. Say it a different way. We had 1,800 people come and apply last year. We accepted 88. I have a strict no douchebag rule in my life. I simply don't give a shit. What I mean by that is that I'm very, very comfortable in what I've built, what we've built, the success. Very comfortable with who I am, what I stand for, what I stand against, what I believe in, where we're going. Money is not my motivation. And it's a privilege to get to that place where the income has been figured out, and now you get to kind of live life on your own terms, where you get to choose the moments, get to choose the people, get to choose what opportunities you go after. You don't have to do anything. You don't feel the pressure to impress anybody. My days of impressing are long over. And my hope today is that when I leave here, I can get you there faster than it took me to get here. Sound good? All right. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to kind of give you guys a couple things to think about, a couple exercises. I'm going to maybe share a couple stories with you, and then we'll wrap it up. I'll kind of give you 2 or 3 things I think you need to walk out of here and really focus on. So, as I said, I started my first business when I was 17. It was a grocery arbitrage business. Nobody knows what the hell that actually is. Okay. I grew up in the grocery industry right here in Dallas, Texas. My father owned grocery stores, owned convenience stores. Every single item in a grocery store, everything you look at, you can see that little UPC barcode on the back of it, right? Everybody knows what that is. We scan it when we go out. Well, that code means that what that signifies is this item, this is a 10-digit code that's been assigned to it that is unique to it. It's what's called a unique product code. And that means that item is exactly the same everywhere in the world. They change one ingredient, they got to get a new number, okay? Why does that matter? Well, unfortunately, when the manufacturer sells that, when they want to gain market share, they will literally sell the exact same item all over the world for significantly different prices. And when you see a case of Maxwell House coffee being sold by the truckload in Dallas, Texas for $20 a case, and you see the exact same item, nothing's different, being sold in New York City for $80 a case, doesn't take very long to figure out there might be an opportunity there. What if I pay this guy $20 and I go sell it to that guy for $70 and I put it on a truck and I ship it to New York City? Maybe I can make some money. So I started that business when I was 17. By the time I was 23, it was doing $53 million a year. By the time I was 28, it was doing $800 million a year. By the time I was 30, we were doing $1.8 billion. Seventh largest privately held company in the state of Florida at that time. So to say that my 20s were a little different than most would be putting it mildly. Luckily, I did not grow up in a social media age because I 100% would have been the douchebag we all make fun of. The cars, the houses, the watches, I had it all. There was just no place to advertise it, right? And I was unbelievably cocky, as anybody in here would have been. Because from 17 to 30, guys, I never failed, ever. Everything I did printed money. I had the house on the water down in Boca Raton, Florida. I had the boats, the jet skis. I had it all. And I did not believe that I could fail, and all of the success that I was having was 100% because of me. All you had to do was ask me. I would absolutely tell you, right? But as fate would have it, I got into a run-in with my partners on March 14th of 2000 at the ripe old age of 30 years old. I was making millions of dollars, but two owners of the company, I had a little bit of equity. They had most of the equity at this point because I had sold shares up to them as we were merging and merging and merging. I had made $5 million. They had each made $50 million. And so we got into a little run-in about money, and I got pissed off one morning. Literally had never one time in my life ever thought about leaving this empire that I had built. Not 1 second. 7:30 in the morning on March 14th, I walked in, had my backpack over my shoulder, never even made it to my office. Stopped into my partner's office, Sal, said, "Hey man, look, I want to get some of my equity back. What do you guys think?" Just a passing comment. And he was like, "Dude, get the fuck out of here." It was just like that. Subtle, probably didn't mean anything by it, but it just hit me wrong. And in 1 second, I was like, "Dude, are you kidding me right now? You want me to leave? This all happened because of me. I did this. Like, you didn't have any of this. You know what? Fuck you, I'm out." And quit right then. Never even made it to my office. Thought I would go out the next day and just start rebuilding, doing it all. And the world had a completely different mission. It took me 22 months to lose every single thing I'd ever built in my life. 22 months to go from having several million dollars in the bank to having $4,000. To say that was humbling would be putting it very mildly, right? To say that I was suicidal would be the truth. It is the worst thing that ever happened to me. It was unbelievably shattering in my life. But luckily, I had a young son that I couldn't imagine leaving him. And so I figured out a way to not follow through, figured out a way to get back up on my feet, do this whole thing, is very common, go through a divorce, go through all that shit. I mean, my whole world melted to the ground. It was all gone, right? Because being still as cocky as I was, you would think that, humility would wipe out some of that pride. But no, as I was rebuilding my second business and we were suing each other and we're going, and I literally should have filed for bankruptcy, did not, because I was too proud to file for bankruptcy. So as my business is creating debt, I just paid off all the debt personally, where I easily could have just bankrupted the company, but I didn't want it associated with my name, like a dipshit. So long story short, get back going. Luckily, a new girlfriend asked me to move in with her. Go from living on the ocean or living on the intercoastal to moving into this 800 square foot shithole apartment that saved my life. Found a late night infomercial, 2:00 in the morning. Come on down. We're going to show you how to flip some houses. No cash, no credit. I'm in. Let's go. I'm done. I'm busted. I burnt every bridge on the way down. So here I am, and went down to West Palm Beach, Florida, Embassy Suites, Russ Whitney investing event. Girl at the front of the stage is talking about, come on, I'm going to show you exactly how to start flipping some houses. It's going to cost you $1,000. Go to the back of the room and sign up right now. Any way you cut it, when there's $4,000 in the bank and you've made nothing but bad financial decisions for the last 2 years, that was one of the scariest things that I've ever seen. And that $1,000 represented 25% of my net worth. It was a scary decision. But thank God I did it, because I can tell you I wouldn't be here if it had happened. One little decision, you could never realize the gravity of it. All I was just done being broke. So got in there, figured out how to wholesale a house, flipped my first house, made $8,200, picked up the check in Coral Springs, Florida. When I picked that check up, I cried like a baby in the car, shaking, holding that cashier's check, because I knew what it actually represented. I can do this now. Fast forward inside of a year, made $1 million, flipped 91 houses. Fast forward 3 years later, was flipping 300 houses a year, had turned it into an actual business, making tens of millions of dollars. Had a new little baby coming, realized that the whole business still owned me. It was largely dependent on me. I did not want to make the same mistake that I've made before. I was the guy, and there's a lot of guys in here that will relate to this. I was the guy that took pride in being the first one to the office and the guy that was the last one to leave. I thought that was cool. And then I would justify that bullshit and say, I'm doing it for my family. Horseshit. That is absolute bullshit. That is what we tell ourselves to justify mediocrity, right? I can promise you, when you are on your deathbed, your kids are not going to walk up to you and say, man, I wish Dad had flipped a few more houses. But they will almost certainly say, I wish I had more time with Dad or Mom. And that hit me. I had a new little baby on the way. I wanted to be a present father. I wanted to do it right this time. I knew I could build a $1.8 billion empire by grinding, doing what I needed to do. 600 employees, get it going. I wanted to do this where I was there for all the moments, period. So I knew I had to put systems, processes, people in place, got busy, turned that business into a real business. And that business still exists today. We flip 1,200 single family houses every year. We buy them, we rehab them, we put a renter in place, and we sell it as a performing asset to a passive investor, and we stay in place and manage it. So not only do we flip and rehab 1,200 houses, we also manage 9,500 single-family homes in 11 markets today. All started, one decision, in a room in Embassy Suites. We also happen to wholesale 500 houses a year, where we never touch it. We just move it. We also, along the ways, have built a substantial several $100 million portfolio in multifamily, RV parks, self-storage, mobile homes, and hospitality. And what has sat on top of all of that over the last few years, 14 years, has been the Boardroom Mastermind. And why does that matter? Because I was asked long before the term mastermind was even a thing. This is 20 years ago. I was asked to be a part of a mastermind called the War Room. And this was legitimately 12 guys in a boardroom, guys and girls, in Austin, Texas. Got together 3 times a year, and we shredded each other's businesses. I mean, you talk about no holds barred. It was no holds barred. But by being in that room and being part of that group, it had a profound impact on me that I never really understood the potential. That when somebody is willing to pour into you, and you can learn through that collective wisdom of everybody in that room, 12 people, all had 20 years worth of it. That's 240 years of wisdom compressed into a 2-day. Like, you think that's valuable? Absolutely. And so all the success that I was having, because on top of everything I just told you, also what happened to happen is I also happened to be asked to start speaking all over the world and on stages because nobody could figure out how this kid down in South Florida was flipping 300 to 500 houses a year while the entire market melted down 2008, 9, and 10. So while that market crashed, my business went up. Why? Because I only sold to cash buyers. I didn't need credit. And so who swooped in to buy all the houses when the market crashed? The cash buyers, who was sitting at the genesis of that, the crossroads of it, because I built that business from the very beginning. I was. So I just happened to be right place, right time, right strategy, took off. Crazy. So next thing you know, I'm being asked, how's he doing it? How is he doing it? How is he doing it? Start teaching people, start telling people. 2 years later, have 60,000 students. 60,000. 35,000 software companies. So why am I telling you all this? Because I've built some pretty big businesses over the years, guys. I built right at 21, 7, 8, 9, and 1 10-figure business. I actually know what the hell I'm talking about. I've got a lot of scars. I've been through a lot of shit. I understand what works. I understand what doesn't work. And again, my goal is to give you a fast track really quick on what you should and shouldn't do. The very first thing, and I would tell you to write it down, is focus on what actually matters. And that is time, not money. We get enamored with money. That's what society tells us. What it actually is time. What money helps us buy is time. And time is ticking away on you. It is the most precious asset you have. It is also the thing you are the most reckless with. There's not one person in this room, I promise you, that has any appreciation for time to the degree that I do. None. And I'll prove it to you. Everybody get your phone out. Open up your calculator app. Open up your calculator app, and if you're a woman, I want you to put the number 82, and if you're a man, I want you to put the number 78. And I want you to subtract your current age. Let's hope you don't need the calculator app to do that. Everybody got a number? Multiply it times 365. Who's got a number for me? 12,000 something? 17? 8,000? 6,000. Okay. I would invite you to write that number down on that piece of paper. You've just calculated how many days you have left on this planet. Statistically speaking. That's how many days you have left. Average American male lives to 78. Average American female lives to 82. That number was true before you walked in here. It will be true when you leave. A mind that is expanded cannot contract. If you walk out of here and act like you don't know that number, you're an asshole. Because you get a choice on what every one of those days looks like. But it gets better. Take that number and multiply it times 0.67. Safe to assume you're going to be asleep 8 hours a night on average. Now you've calculated how many waking days you have left, when you get to experience life. Who's got a number for me?
600.
Okay. Now, I don't care who you are, whether the number's 4,600, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000, that number is too small. Can we all agree? Okay. Starting today, and we're going to see who does this. I'm not hard to find on Instagram, at Kent Clothier, right? I would tell you, when you get home after this weekend, do yourself a favor. Stop at the store and get a dry erase marker. And when you get home, go to your mirror in your master bathroom where you brush your teeth, put your makeup on, comb your hair, clean your face, and write that number. And the next morning when you wake up, do you know what you get the privilege of doing? Subtracting 1. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And then, after a week of doing that, tell me how precious those days really are. Because that's just the truth. You know, we have our truth, and then we have the truth. What you've just now understand is the truth. And unfortunately, for many in this room, you won't make it to that number. That's why it's an average, right? Because some come in a little lower, some go a little bit lower. Which brings me to my next thing I would tell you. I want you to write this number down. 168. If you had or received the best news or worst news of your life today, and that is you are going to die 7 days from now, 168 hours from this moment, what would you do? Right below the 168, I want you to write the question, what would I do? Who would I call? I've got 168 hours, not one more. What would you do? Who would you call? What videos would you make to your kids or your unborn grandkids or your unborn great-grandkids? What travel would you immediately plan? Can we all agree that anything that we think is important right now would suddenly get reprioritized real quick? Does that make sense? All the bullshit we carry around worrying about, well, what are my neighbors going to think? What are the people on social media going to think about this? Would any of that shit matter? Do you understand how much time we spend worrying about what other people think that we don't even know or we don't even give a shit about? And it traps us every day. Traps us. You are nowhere near, nor am I, as important as we think we are. How much time do you actually spend thinking about your neighbors or what's going on in social media? Very little. And by the way, your friends and everybody, they think about you about the same. But yet, in our minds, it's heavy, heavy weight. Heavy, heavy weight. Dumb as hell. Because if you were in your last 7 days, none of that shit would matter. If you knew you had an expiration date. So my first point with the 168 would be, whatever you write down, I would surround myself with my kids. We would travel. We would go, I would create amazing experiences with them. I would make sure that I collect all the moments, make sure they collect all the moments. Guess what your business should be designed to do right now? That. Because if it doesn't, it's designed to make money, and that's all I'm chasing. Guess what I'm not doing? That. That's what actually matters. The prioritization of time is everything. I want to own my time. How many of you agree with that? Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
I want to own every minute of it. And my clock is ticking. It's going, baby. Every day, another one's gone. And when it goes away, it's just going to go away. In the history of the world, nobody's ever gotten out alive. Everybody here has an expiration date. Acting like that is not true is reckless and irresponsible. Get in a hurry. If you knew you had 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 days left and you could invest 400 of them right now so that the next 8,000 behind of them were on your terms, does that not sound like a hell of an investment? Yes. Absolutely. But we get so trapped in the dogma of everything else, we don't see the world correctly. That's reality. What can I do to get to the front of the line right now? I don't know when the last time any of you guys have gone to Disney World or Disneyland, but last probably 10 years ago, I found out they have this like super exclusive VIP experience, concierge experience. Anybody ever done this? Okay. Let me just tell you, there's levels to this shit, okay? I'm not talking about Fast Pass, baby. I'm talking about you write a pretty good check, right? It ain't cheap, but they're gonna walk your ass and your kids to the front of every single line. They literally called Mickey Mouse off a break to come have my kids sign my kid's autograph. I'm like, this is some wild shit right here. This is crazy. You kind of feel like a douchebag. I'm not gonna be lying, right? This guy's been waiting for 3 hours for Space Mountain, and I mean, he is right there. He's got his kid. They are getting ready to get in the car, and you, in 10 seconds, walk right up, and they're like, stop, sir. And you sit down, and you're like, see ya. But if I'm going to Disney, I'm there to get all the experience. I'm not there to stand in line. I don't want to go through the brain damage. If there's a way to get me right to where I get all the moments, right? Everything I can get, my kids, they are lighting up like a Christmas tree over and over and over again, right? We literally rode every ride that they wanted to ride. We met every character. We did everything. That was the best investment in time and money I could ever make. Versus, unfortunately, a lot of people where they're standing in line, their idea of Disney is we rode 4 things and we were in 6 hours of lines, right? And that's just the way it is. And I look at life in a very similar sense. How do I get to the front of the line and get to the good stuff? I am not here to fuck around. I want to wring everything out of life I possibly can. Now, I get that I'm a little intense. I get that but you go lose a couple $1 billion business, you'll learn some pretty valuable lessons about what matters and what doesn't. But I learned a couple other lessons. My daughter's 20 now, but when she was 5, I happened to be flying back from an event very similar to this that we were conducting in Memphis, Tennessee, and flying back to our home in West Palm Beach, Florida at the time. And my young daughter at 5 and my wife at the time, they were on the plane, but they had bought a separate itinerary. So we were seated apart in the plane. Make sense? They had come to see me, but I was coming from when we came in. So now we're flying home, and we're connecting through Atlanta, Delta Airlines. So Atlanta to West Palm Beach. They're back in 26E and F, and I'm up here in 19A on planes every week. Not a big deal. Looking down, working on my computer. And as I'm doing that, I get this weird burning smell. You know, like when you turn the heat on for the first time? You know what I'm talking about? I'm like, what the fuck is that, man? That's weird. And as I look up, white smoke is pouring down from the front of the plane. I'm not talking about I'm talking like somebody has taken a fire extinguisher and is blowing it out of first class right down the middle of the plane. What? Your mind can't comprehend what you're actually saying. What is going on? And right at that moment, bom, 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 bom. And the flight attendant comes on. Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, we're on fire, we're on fire. Crews, return to your stations. Crews, get to your stations. All in about 2 seconds. Panic. Immediate panic. And at that exact moment, when we realized we were on fire, the captain put us into a nosedive, right? Now, I know this now. I didn't know it then, but it would have been helpful then. That I've definitely checked the back of that seat, a little card, and it does not say anything. If we think we're on fire, we're going to put it into a nosedive. It does not say that shit. Equally, when the stewardess talks about, hey, in the case of emergency, we're going to do this little show right here. That shit didn't happen either. That shit didn't go down like that. This was chaos. But when they think you're on fire, they were trying to get the plane down below 13,000 feet as fast as they can. And when you're sitting at 30,000 feet, it's a pretty chaotic situation. And as this is going on, everybody starts screaming. Everybody. Unfortunately, I get to hear one scream. As I look back and I can see the head of my little girl in the middle, and then you see my hand, I got to be real careful with this. I can see my little girl, I can see the top of her head, and I can see my wife's eyes, and she and I, terrified, but I can hear my daughter screaming for daddy to make this stop, and I can't get to her. Worst moment of any father's life. We are literally going to die. My daughter is terrified, and I can't help her. I can't get to her. I can't save her. And it was horrible. As fate would have it, the captain comes on, and quickly we level out, and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, we clearly have a problem. You know, no shit. We're going to divert to Tampa. We're going to make an emergency landing. We're going to fly by the tower to make sure our landing gear comes down. And then we're going to come in. I want you to listen to your crew, and they're going to tell you the command, brace for impact, brace for impact, brace for impact. I'm going to say it 3 times. Follow their instructions. They're going to tell you exactly what to do. That's nothing you ever want to hear on an airplane, guys. Nothing you want to hear, right? This is happening. We're about to crash. This is happening. Luckily, I got my phone out, and I'm in hopes that my son, they would find my phone. He was 17 at the time, and I wanted him to know that I was thinking of him, so I recorded a selfie video to him that I still carry around for me today. Anything's getting a little heavy on me, and I think my priorities are a little out of alignment, all I gotta do is watch that video. Back to what I was telling you earlier. Shit gets very real, very quick when the stakes are raised on you. Things you think are important, I promise you they're not. It's all manufactured bullshit. Creating time, designing a business, designing a life that allows you to actually scale. Not scale for the sake of scaling. We do not scale to get bigger. We scale to escape. That's it. Why do I scale businesses? To escape. It's real easy to figure out whether you have a business or not. Leave. Go away for 90 days. And if you come back, and I don't give a shit if you're an agent, I don't give a shit if you're a team, I don't give a shit if you're a bro, you are not scalable. If you leave and you come back and there is more money in your bank account than when you left, you might have the beginnings of a business. Anything less than that, your ass owns a job. So fix it. Because it's fixable. And it's easier than it's ever been. Between AI, processes, automation, people, there's so many, but we get trapped going on what's up here, thinking, I can't do this, I can't do that. Nobody will care about my business. That is all Bullshit. It is all bullshit. None of it's true. I'm a redneck from Dallas, Texas. Barely graduated high school. Literally. Right here down the street. South Lake Carroll. There's nothing special about me. I just have figured out how to go for my dream and to not take no for an answer. And I simply don't give a shit what people think. I don't care. Love me or hate me, it makes no difference to me. There's enough that do, that my life's gonna be fully enriched. The world's full of haters, let it be full of haters. I don't give a shit. I need my peeps. We're gonna get it done. That's the way everybody should be. Be real, be authentic. Go get your shit. Why? Because the clock is ticking. Look at the days. Every day. Take massive action every day. You don't want to be stuck at 30,000 feet thinking, I wish I had done this. I could have done that. Filming a video to your son apologizing that I wasn't there as much as I should have been when you were young because I was too busy doing dumb shit. Telling myself I was doing it for him when I should have been there for him. This is real. And this is totally doable by anybody. I've proven it over and over and over again with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs. It is totally doable. What is required is this gets right first. People think that it is seeing is believing. Prove it to me, Kent. No, believing is seeing. Once I know the facts, it's what I call separating fact from fiction. The facts, the clock is ticking on my ass. My dreams matter. I can follow processes. I can surround myself with badasses that'll help me get there. I need to be bold. I need to take action. I need to be willing to fail. I'm worth it. I start filling my brain with that, and I can go. I start taking it very seriously versus being some passive, just going through the motions. I'm just one of a million. No. Ain't nobody like me. No. I am unique. This is my life. I will go and do what I need to do. Why? Because it is doable. I want my kids to see. I want to demonstrate, not talk about it. I could have stopped a long time ago. I want to demonstrate what it looks like to fight for your dreams and make them happen. I want to show them what it looks like every day. Why? Because I know, having spent a ton of time in Haiti, a ton of time on charity, a ton of time in Nicaragua, that there are real victims in the world, and I'm fucking not one of them. There ain't nobody in this world, in this room either, right? We get that little bitch victim mentality. It kind of gets in our head. Oh, woe is me. Wake up. Be grateful for your problems. You know what you're not doing? I was literally been in Haiti, ladies and gentlemen, and watched a young mother with a newborn on her chest walking down the street, bending down into a drainage ditch and drinking water out of a drainage ditch. That's a real fucking problem, okay? Ain't nobody in here suffering. We get to do this shit. Pressure is a privilege. It is an honor. Approach it that way. Anytime that little inner bitch is talking to you, you step up and like, thank God for my problems. I love this shit. Bring it on. It's gonna make me better. I'm either learning or earning, baby. If I'm not making money at it, I'm certainly gonna learn how to do it better next time, one or the other. But you definitely don't wanna be on that airplane. Now, as fate would have it, the plane landed, clearly, obviously. Firemen came on, got us off the plane, take us up to the gate agent. Of course, we've got hopefully nobody in here has ever been a gate agent, stereotypical dipshit gate agent that's in there. He's like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, heard we had a problem. Maintenance is on the plane right now, and they're gonna take a look, and as soon as they get done, we're gonna get you right back on that plane and get you down. No, you're not. He gone. I never rented a car so fast in my life, right? I rented a minivan, and the woman that was sitting next to my wife, Seema, jumped in the minivan with us. We drove 3 hours, the greatest drive of my life. She would not shut up. I don't know her name. I wouldn't know her face. She could be in this room right now, right? but it was the greatest 3 hours of my life. It had a profound effect on me. Get to it. Stop talking about it like time is promised to you, Kent. Get in the game. I talked a lot about always wanting to live in San Diego. I was doing a ton of business in San Diego. I was having to fly from Florida to San Diego. 6 months later, I lived in San Diego on the beach. This is my life. I'm a 55-year-old guy that skateboards to the office every day, ladies and gentlemen. That is my version.
Watch me whip. Kill it. Now watch me nay nay. Okay. Now watch me whip.
That is my version of perfection, right? What is yours? Here's what I want to leave you with. How do you get there? Number one, go do those time exercises. Be disciplined. Get dialed in on time. Understand it, live it, breathe it. Period. Number two, start with the end in mind. Okay. When you landed, or if some of you that lived in Dallas, when they said, hey, this event is going to be at the Hall Park, I guess is the name of the hotel, right? Park Hall, whatever this is. It's going to be at this. In order to get here and drive here or Uber here, what did you have to do? Enter the address. Does that make sense? So I have an origination point where I'm starting. I have a destination, and then what happens? I got my turn-by-turn directions. If my wife picks up the phone today and says, Kent, I need you to stop by the store and grab a few things. All the married men in here, do we stop there? No. It's, hey, can you tell me exactly what that means? In fact, can you send me a picture of exactly what you want? Right? I need to, why do we do this? Give me a destination for success. What I sure as hell don't do is go up and down the aisles. Well, a little this, 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 a little this. Come home and dump it all on the guy. Is any of this the shit you wanted, honey? Or when you were driving over here, your big hypothesis was, I just drive around Frisco. I'm sure the name of the hotel's on the outside of the building. I'll just drive up around there and I'll see it. I'll bang around until I get to it. In either one of those scenarios, you sound like a dipshit. Can we agree? Why do we do this? We're trying to get there as fast as we can, right? I want the quickest path to success. Unfortunately, I've been doing this a long time. I know this to be true. If I sat down with each and every one of you in my office, right here, across the street, or in San Diego, and I said, tell me the destination, nobody in this room could do it. Nobody. Kent, this is who I want to be with. I want to spend my days doing this. I want to wake up here. I want to live in this city. Here's who my friends are. Here's what I want my business to look like. Here's what I want to spend my day doing. Here's how much passive income I want. Here's how much active income I want. Here's what I want my net worth to be. Here's the things I hate. Here's the things I love. This is where I'm trying to go to, right here. That's a destination. Because then you can reverse engineer what's the income, what do I need to do to get to that? Can we all agree? So that's number two. Start with the end in mind. Be very clear with yourself on what the destination is. Crystal clear. Number three, separate fact from fiction about your origination point, where we are right now. See, equally, I've been doing this a long time, and I know if I asked any one of you today and said, give me the math. What's your personal financial statement look like? What's the business financials look like? How much is it costing you to acquire a lead? How much is it costing you to acquire a customer? What is your average revenue per customer? How many transactions are you doing? Like the real math? Most of you couldn't give it to me today. Well, if I know where I'm going, but I don't know where I actually am, how the hell can I possibly expect to get there? Does that make sense? Because if you tell me where you are through the math, and you tell me where you're going on the other, where you want to go, then the forum, spring, this group is the turn-by-turn directions. It is the GPS. Because you surround yourself with the people that have done it, the people that you admire, the people who have paid the price, the people, and not everybody's going to solve all the problems, but now you have a collection of people who have solved the problems in pieces. Oh, you have a conversion problem? This is how that's solved. Oh, you have a lead problem? This is how that's solved. Oh, you have a revenue problem? This is how that's solved. Oh, you need better reporting, better accounting? This is how that's solved. Oh, you need to learn how to hire, train, onboard people? That's like, now I have beginnings of a plan, and I can execute on the plan. And when you come into a group like this, now do not only get the plan, but I get the accountability. Ask me how I know this to be true, because that is exactly why these masterminds become so powerful. It's exactly how mine has become so powerful. It isn't just about the plan. It's about, tell me where you're trying to go. Tell me where you are. We give you the directions, but more importantly, we're going to hold your ass accountable. Because the one thing you don't want to do is stand up in front of people who passionately care about your business and let them down. Very few of us in this room have somebody holding us accountable in our life right now. We're doing it to others. My question is, who's holding you accountable? Which is number 4. Get in the room. Get somebody or a lot of somebodies in your life that will be real with you and be authentic. It is the greatest hack ever. This is not a solo sport. Business is tough. It's rough. It doesn't play favorites. It will beat the shit out of you. And if you don't, think about it, guys. If I today told Brandon Justin, hey man, I want to become the UFC champion at 55. I have never stepped in the ring in my life, period. But I think I can do it. I've watched every YouTube video. I've gone to a lot of events, listened to a lot of podcasts, and I've read a lot of books. Can somebody please call Dana White? Let's do this shit. They're like, bro, you've lost your damn mind. If I wanted that, what is a natural thing that has to happen? One, I got to get my ass in the ring, right? That's kind of a prerequisite. I got to get in the ring. And if I'm going to get in the ring, then the likelihood of my opponent being on the other side wanting to beat my ass is pretty high, which means if I'm getting in the ring, I am already prepared to get hit. Can we agree? It's part of it. And if I want to get better, I have to have the coaches, I have to have the trainers, I have to have the people that as I get the ever-living shit beat out of me, they're pulling me back, do this better, do this better. And if I do that over and over and over and over, then I might have the shot to be the champion. Business is exactly the same way. Business is rough. But if you're ready to get in the ring and you're ready to fight and you understand, in this case, your destination is being the champion. That's the analogy, right? The destination that's your version of being a champion. So I know how it looks to be a champion. This is where I'm going. I'm undeniable. I'm not going to back off. I will be relentless. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Get the coaches, get the mastermind, get the people around me. I am not going to stop. I'm prepared to get hit. I want to go in there. I want to get hit. I want to mix it up because it's only going to make me better, only going to make me sharper. I will come back to the corner. We'll get it improved and we'll get right back in the ring and do it again and again and again and again. So get the right people around you. Which brings me to number 5. Stop listening to broke-ass people. We all have people in our lives. They mean well. Friends, family, whatever. Inevitably, somebody in here like, hey, I'm going to this real estate conference. We're going to go. And they're like, another one? What the hell? What do you do that shit for? They mean well. Stop listening to broke-ass people. Your mind is a very precious resource. It is the only thing that will make you and take you to the next level. If it is not right and it is not focused, it is either a massive asset or it's a massive liability. And if you get the wrong people around you, that liability, that little inner bitch will hold you back all day long. But you get the right people in your corner, the right people pumping you up, the right people helping you fight for your dreams, the right people surrounding you, and you're willing to go take massive action, it's the greatest asset you'll ever have. And the last thing, control your fear. I'll leave you with this. I have fear. You have fear. It is okay. But my fear is different than yours. Most of yours. You see, most of us have a fear of failure, a fear of taking massive action, a fear that when an opportunity is presented with you, your mind, that inner bitch, will get in there and say, yeah, but can't do this. Okay, that holds us back. None of that should take place. That is a fear of failure. That is a fear of judgment. That is a fear of what if it doesn't. That's your fear, most of you. The successful do not have that fear. Write this down. Fear regret more than failure. What would change if I don't do this? I've got a precious few days left on this planet. What happens if I don't go for it? What happens if I don't show my kids what it looks like to fight for a dream? What happens if I don't take it seriously, that I'm the one that's going to change my family's livelihood and the genealogy forever? What changes? What happens if I'm stuck on an airplane at 30,000 feet and I have a life filled with regret because I didn't take the chances, I didn't collect the moments, I didn't do the things that I knew I should have and could have? What happens if I don't bet on myself and go build a business and scale it, not for any other reason, but to escape it so that I get to own time, so that I get to soak up all the precious, precious moments that really matter in life, that move way too fast? Fear regret. It's okay to have fear. Make sure it's the fear that gives you the wind at your back. Regret as a fear is fuel. I don't care about falling down. I've lost a $2 billion company. I survived a plane crash. I'm okay. It's okay. You're going to be fine. In fact, in some twisted way, back to my analogy earlier, I look forward to the hits. Because in every case, those hits made me better, made me stronger, made me more appreciative of what really matters, which made me a better leader, a better father, a better husband. And that is a win in any book, period. Now, a lot of people ask me, why do I continue to do what I do? I do what I do for one thing. I know that if I pass today, I think about this all the time, that my hope would be that I've created enough impact on enough people and stressed this message right here that you've got today so strongly that there are hundreds, if not thousands of people that would understand how important this is to me. That they would get on an airplane, fly to San Diego, make sure they walk up to my two little girls and my son and say, your dad mattered. Your dad mattered. That, ladies and gentlemen, is not done by playing from the cheap seats. That is not done by sitting on the sidelines. That is done by being bold. That is done by believing in yourself and believing you are worth it, because you are. And the clock is ticking. Go take as much massive action as you can possibly take. If it scares you, be bold. Do it. Because you're worth it. Thank you, guys.